counterfeiting. InfoWars challenged by someone to dispute or deal with a subject that is near and dear to all our hearts and is extremely topical and timely, proving Barack Obama is not an American citizen so we can prevent him from being president. Cold case posse, birth certificate forgery, 9 points to prove it, forensic evidence, press conference, and again, for the umpteenth time, he says, I'll be providing the evidence next month to the federal government. Yeah, he's actually said that repeatedly. Because every time he posts something, it gets debunked. So he just doesn't talk about it and just waits for everybody to forget and then does another press conference. The idea was to harass the presidency. For those of you who don't know, the majority of birthers don't actually believe that Barack Obama wasn't an American citizen. They just want to make the presidency not happen. Now it's just simply pathetic. And Arpaio, or whatever his name is, lost his re-election bid, so he's no longer in a position of any kind of power as of X number of days from now, or maybe right now. And I want to bring up one more thing here. If any of you want to bring him in as an expert witness, the first thing out of my mouth, if I'm trying to go against him, is I'm going to say, so, Joe, not sheriff anything, Mr. Expert, aren't you the one who kept claiming that the President of the United States could be easily proven not to be a president, and failed to do so for 5 flippin' years? And then I'd sit back and watch him come unglued and his eyeballs pop out. Because he's an idiot who claims we were trying to prove the president was an American citizen to dispel this rumor. No, he wasn't, because he was handed the proof that Barack Obama was an American citizen repeatedly, including, and we can do this like the 12 days of Christmas, because there's dozens of things you can explain to somebody that shows that Barack Obama was an American citizen. His mother was an American citizen when she gave birth to him. You can argue that point as much as you want to, and what happens is people go in a circle, lather, rinse, and repeat. They'll bring up 100 points of stupid, and you knock down 99 of them, and on the 100th one, they'll wrap around to the first one, like you didn't notice that they did that. Arpaio has been doing that the entire time. All of them do this, because they don't really believe that Obama wasn't an American citizen or any of this. They're just doing it as a constant noise level. Up to and including, I'm going to drag people into this, our current president, Trump, was a birther, because he was. And he still is, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. We don't care about my opinion. But he's an asshat about it. Orly Tate's literally getting caught forging a birth certificate to prove Barack Obama's from some other country, because she got caught being involved in forging a document. And people looking at a document scan, not the actual paper, and that gets compressed so it looks exactly like something photoshopped, and then somebody who only knows about Photoshop looks at it because they didn't want to hire somebody who knows what they're talking about with PDF files, says, oh yeah, it looks photoshopped. And now we get this one. Joanne Ani was born 19 days after Obama, and Arpaio and his team have decided the silver bullet that they've been looking for, because they've been looking to prove something, not looking at evidence and then coming to a conclusion. They're anti-science as hell, anti-forensic science, and anti-fact as hell. This proves, once and for all, that this was a fake birth certificate. Or it's a printout from the same computer recently done, because that's how most of these birth certificates are really made. They're printouts of the data hand-typed into the computer. Or it's a scan from a birth certificate that was made within 19 days of another one that looks similar, because it was the same typist and the same typewriter. Ask typists about these things. If you do the same thing every day at the same business and do the same form, it's a form letter, then you're going to type things about the same way, or exactly the same way. And honestly, if you start with a locked position, they're going to end up lining up. If you're used to it, you're used to hitting the tab button and setting your tabs and stuff. Everybody I've ever talked to who's a typist that ever dealt with typewriters or even computers says the same thing. You can argue with all of them if you want to. You can go find one and find 1 out of 100 that'll claim something else. We can go all day with this, and that's the point. This is a keep an idiot busy thing. This is a constant stream of debunked statements over and over again because it gives somebody something to do. Joe's gotten fired from his job. He's no longer sheriff anything. He's just an ordinary Joe. And his way of getting back at the world, because everybody finally got around to firing him, they should have done it a long time ago. And also, in the past, by the way, people preventing him from wanting to enforce laws that don't exist, and him just going ahead and doing it, and him now becoming literally the kiss of death. If he's going to ever testify in a court of law, everyone will look at him and say, "Are you kidding me? You're in the room?" That's like having the devil show up. Get out of here. That's not a libtard opinion. Because would you want a sheriff using this kind of methodology to prove that you're guilty of something? I mean it. This isn't a witch hunter. This is a mentally ill person. Okay, that's my opinion. I've never really vented about this guy. But he's infuriating on purpose. He's supposed to elicit this kind of reaction in a person who actually has had to look at a PDF file to see if it's been altered, who's actually trained in detecting and making forgeries. You have to know how to make a forgery to detect one. Talk to a criminal to catch one, right? I don't know how to draw a $100 bill. I don't know how to do that. But I do know how to forge older bills, not the newer ones. I do know what I'm talking about. Joe's an idiot. All of the experts that were brought in were deliberately brought in because they were the only one out of a group that would say, okay, I think it was forged. And it sounded good to the normal public, or the abnormal public in this case. Yes, that's a Frankenstein reference. Now, here we go. Arpaio's team claims that the fact that the fonts on the two documents match each other is a silver bullet. And again, or it could be the same person using the same typewriter the same way, which is common. Anyway, here we go. When asked by the press where he got the other person's birth certificate from and how the team was alerted on it, one of the people involved refused to answer. However, when the Arizona Republic contacted him, or contacted one of them after the news conference, one of them admitted that he obtained the information from an author and right-wing conspiracy theorist named Corsi. This is a person who wrote the book on the subject and has a financial interest in continuing to republish more books. This is like talking to someone about the Kennedy assassination and how maybe it really was just one gunman, but they have book after book claiming literally everybody in the state's guilty of killing him. Yes, there is an actual, I'm sorry, but there's a couple of authors, not just one, a couple of authors who claim that were dozens of people who could have done it, therefore they all did it. That way they're covering all their bases. Yeah. Again, would you want to go to court with someone who uses this logic, this mentality to prosecute you? I mean it. Think before you type. And if anybody has his 9 points of stupid posted somewhere that I can get it, please post a link to it. I'll let it be visible. I just need to see this. Because I'm not going to do a point-by-point refutation. I'm just going to see if it's the same damn things over and over again. This is, again, the same thing. The PDF file looks like it's a duplicate. And then, yeah, I've actually emailed the idiot. Line by line. You're not aware of the fact of how compression works. You don't know what you're talking about. These are form letter file formats. Why aren't you acknowledging this? Answer me, you son of a... Anyway, next. Next, when a posse member was pressed about where Corsi got the information from about Annie's birth certificate, one of them responded, I have to be honest with you, that's a really good question, because either that's an unbelievable coincidence or there's something else going on. So the convincing proof was obtained by talking to a author who has a very big financial best interest in not actually being honest about it, who wasn't anywhere near the hospital at the time or had no connection to the Hawaii Department of Health and the financial stake in pushing this meme forever, as a 5-year-long investigation ended only after he lost his re-election bid and now he's just an honorary citizen. For years, the only thing that he has been concerned with is bolstering his appeal to certain parts of what we call right-wing America, but just literally just Tea Partiers and birthers, by attacking the president and other groups of people, by the way. Meanwhile, the people of his county bore the cost of civil rights lawsuit after civil rights lawsuit, losing them. The best thing the people of that Maricopa County have ever done for themselves is voting this alleged potentially criminal person out. I'm going to repeat this. Okay, this is me attacking the source first, because I'm going to get that out of the way. He's demonstrated an inability to do a simple investigation by saying to himself, I don't know what I'm looking at, it's a PDF file. Then hiring an expert in PDF files, not Photoshop, not a meme, and consulting multiple sources for this information to determine whether or not this file looks like it's been doctored after the fact or created from scratch. Pro tip, creating a PDF from scratch looks very, very different than taking a scan in. So what you do is what someone else already did. Get their own birth certificate, not redact it because the hell with it, and scan it at the same place and see if the file has the same goofy stuff in it. It did. Because at the location, because they were told just scan it and send it to us, they used the default settings for the software to make it do a couple of things. One, make it take up less space. A scanned image can be gigabytes across. It's not a 1 gigabyte file even. It really is not. Next, make it to where it's compliant with the Americans with Disability Act by scanning it and trying to convert it to text file, data, metadata, so that it could be read aloud badly so that a blind person could read the information. Lots of states have this rule. You might want to look into that. And I'm sure it screwed up the formatting. Next, compressing the heck out of it geometrically, I'm going to say, by literally finding things that are identical and just using that one image to use for every spot. So it ended up altering it itself. Scanning and just opening and closing a document will do that too. Next, I'd like to point out the mythos of people uploading a JPEG to a website that analyzes it for alteration, when JPEGs by nature, if you change any setting, actually every system does this, JPEGs compress the hell out of files and throw out data all the time. They're not a valid source of data. A PDF file is simply an indication of data. It can be authenticated, and that's actually what happened. The person who was running the health department or whatever, or the hospital or whatever, who took the printout, recent printout, or took the original image or whatever, and converted it to PDF file, authenticated that they were standing there staring at it and confirming line by line that had the same data in it. And said, yeah, this is a copy, this is an image of the original birth certificate. And sometimes you even have a piece of software that compares them back and forth repeatedly to get the image exactly right, but still compress it. This is no different than someone photocopying it and handing you a photocopy and saying, this is a photocopy of it. It's not the original, but it's a photocopy. And then you sit there and say, it looks like a photocopy. Yeah, it looks like a photocopy. That's what it says. And then you say, well, it's not proof. Because you're being an idiot. Because it's a photocopy. Authenticated, or what's sometimes called real copy. Or authentic copy. Which people find kind of ironic. And it's kind of a joke. And then again, like I said, somebody simply went there and said, we have permission to look at and physically touch the birth certificate, and it has the authentication stamp. And then I'm going to get to the last point here. Again, I'm going to repeat it. Obama's mother was an American citizen when she gave birth to him. That doesn't invalidate his citizenship ever. But the next thing is, it's based on someone's say-so that they were able to confirm that this was really not an altered document or a planted document. None of this has anything to do with anything you can see in a digital image looking for artifacts. It has to do with the authentication of human beings. And Arpaio even went against that. So how would you ever authenticate your identity? Comment below. On topic only. And don't repeat stuff that's been debunked, please. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.